In this video, I'll show you how Coworker can help validate an upgrade from Adobe Analytics to Customer Journey Analytics using the AA-to-CJA Validation Skill. When teams move from Adobe Analytics to Customer Journey Analytics, one of the biggest challenges is confidence. It's not just about getting data into a new system. It's about making sure the metrics, dimensions, and trends people rely on are represented correctly. Traditionally, that validation process can be manual, time-consuming, and difficult to scale. This skill helps streamline that work by guiding you through the setup in a single conversation, comparing data across implementations, and returning insights and recommendations to help support the upgrade. I'm starting here in Coworker with a new chat. Validate my company's upgrade from Adobe Analytics to Customer Journey Analytics. Once I submit that prompt, Coworker routes the request to the validation skill and starts an interactive setup flow. What's nice is that everything happens in one conversation. I don't need to jump between tools, build queries manually, or export data just to begin validating. The skill starts by asking me to confirm the Adobe Analytics company. This is the Adobe Analytics login company associated with the data I want to validate. Next, it asks me to select the report suite. Here, I'm choosing the report suite that I want to compare. Once I confirm it, Coworker uses that selection as the working context for the session. And if I need to adjust the report suite midstream, I can simply redirect the conversation to use a different one. Coworker updates the context and continues instead of starting from the beginning. Next, the skill asks me to identify the customer journey analytics side of the comparison, which comes from a data view. In this case, I'm providing the ID of the data view instead of selecting a preset option because it contains the data I want to validate against the Adobe Analytics report suite. Now the basic setup is complete. From here, the skill automatically determines how the data is mapped between Adobe Analytics and Customer Journey Analytics. It doesn't matter whether the data is connected through an analytics source connector or through implementation. The key point is that I don't need to manually provide that architecture up front. Once setup is finished, Coworker gives me a preview of the key components it plans to validate across both environments. I see the analytics company, the report suite, and the data view I chose, along with the top metrics and dimensions surfaced from both Adobe Analytics and Customer Journey Analytics. After showing that summary, Coworker recommends a suitable starting point for the validation process. Coworker presents three main validation paths: single metric comparison, where I choose one metric and compare its trend across both systems; dimension comparison, where I select a dimension and review how the data breaks down across both products; and a full audit, which compares up to 40 metrics and 10 dimensions in a single file. I'll start with a single metric comparison and use page views as the basis for the comparison. Once that's selected, Coworker retrieves the reports in parallel from Adobe Analytics and Customer Journey Analytics behind the scenes powered by the MCP servers for each. A few moments later, the data from the past 30 days is returned, and Coworker begins preparing the data used for the comparison. Coworker has finished the work of bringing the two views together, so I can compare how that metric is trending across both systems using a deep analysis. The first insight is the overall matching rate, which in this example is 87%. That's a strong starting point, but it also signals that the data deserves a closer review. Coworker then highlights a key insight that there is a variance that exceeds 10% for 18 days included in the comparison. Looking at the daily trends, I see that Customer Journey Analytics numbers are higher than Adobe Analytics. This tells me this is likely a systemic counting difference rather than transient data collection issues. To help move the investigation forward, Coworker provides a structured diagnosis with likely causes and recommended next steps, including what to review in each product and what follow-up validation to run next. That makes the comparison more actionable, because I'm not just seeing where the data differs. I'm also getting guidance on how to investigate and resolve it. That's a quick look at the AA-to-CJA Validation Skill in Coworker. If you're working through an upgrade and want a simpler way to validate how your Adobe Analytics data compares to Customer Journey Analytics, this workflow can help you move forward with clarity and confidence. Thanks for watching.